Just want to say before the show starts, The Troy Show is a listener discretion advised show. We're fair, we're balanced here, everyone gets a voice. We can't quite control exactly what that voice is going to be, so please keep that in mind as you listen to the show. Any business or organization mentioned on the show is not a sponsor of The Troy Show, nor is it affiliated unless otherwise stated. The Troy Show is not an official representation of the city of Troy, Ohio, USA, or the government thereof. This is Troy on Air. What a big week. What a big week to break down. Troy has been officially entered into a state of emergency. The stay in your home order starts tonight at 11:59 p.m.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Just calm down. We will break it all down for you tonight here on The Troy Show. We've got the call-in number hopefully working for us tonight. We are going to find that out. Come here in a little bit, about halfway through the show. And we are happy to have you here with us at about 7:04 p.m. Sorry about a few minutes late. I got a very important phone call before the show. We're just going to check in over here and make sure that we've got everything live. Looks like it. The number to call if you're joining us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Beautiful Troy Show, is 937-696-7572. You may be saying, wait a minute. That is a completely different number than you gave last week. Well, yeah, we had a little bit. The coronavirus is affecting everyone at some place, the COVID-19. The video resolution tonight is a little bit off for some reason. But technicalities, these are things that can all be improved as we roll along the road. So tonight we're doing our first live show here on March 23rd, and we're going to be doing our first call-in segment. The call-in number again, 937, if maybe you're listening in the background, 696-7572. 696-7572. Make sure to put the 937 code before it. If you want to get in touch with us, maybe you like using the keyboard a little bit better, beautifultroyshow@gmail.com. And I want to, before we start the show here and we get into our first order of business on this stack that we have here tonight, hopefully the audio is coming through to everybody. I try to monitor, people commenting or things like this throughout the show, but I cannot get to that, unfortunately. So hopefully it's showing on my end with all the little blinking lights across my screen that we have a crystal clear audio being sent out. So, all righty, let's take a look here tonight. We're going to be having the call-in segment coming up later in the show, so go ahead and place your call now. We have our call screener in training ready to go and take your calls. She will take care of you there, and you will be put into a hold tonight. I maybe have to run down real quick. If you've never called into a show, usually you are put into a hold, and eventually you will hear a beep, and that will let you know when you're on the air. But until you get to the air, while you're waiting and hold, we're not going to give you any of that little piano music the banks give you or whatever. You can listen to the show while you're on hold. You can continue to listen on whatever device you're using to either watch or listen to the show. We do welcome that, but just bear in mind, and they will update you this when you call in. They will update you on the fact that you do need to turn that device down as to avoid feedback and echo. But you can listen to the show on hold, and then when you hear the beep and my voice talking directly to you over the phone, that'll be your cue and your minute. In fact, I should probably go ahead and get a timer set up on my phone and ready to go, so that way everyone has a fair shot. Remember, this show offers you a 1-minute call-in guarantee to say what you want. I'm not going to get in your way, interrupt you, or step on you or anything like that. Let's see here. So we got a 1-minute timer ready to go. That'll be in place. And let's hop into it. So as mentioned earlier in the show, our first order of business here tonight, let me grab it off. Let's see here. Mayor Oda has addressed public health protocols. She issued a proclamation, I want to say it was back on right around March 17th or so. I saw it come across my Facebook feed, and I thought, I've got to see what this is about. So Mayor Oda has issued a proclamation here for the city of Troy to put us into a state of emergency so the city can get its 5 minutes. It says here, Mayor Robin Oda has issued a proclamation on declaring a state of emergency in the city of Troy to ensure the city is prepared to act quickly in regard to the COVID-19 issue it was Tuesday. This proclamation does not change anything in the current city operations, Mayor Oda stated in a press release. As of now, and we'll get to this in a second, City Hall is open and our high-quality city services will continue. Out of concern for health and welfare, our citizens, I would not want any delay in the city being able to respond where appropriate. I continue to encourage Troy residents to heed the advice of the Ohio Department of Health and other emergency officials regarding this public health emergency in order to protect their health and safety. Following council business on Monday, Oda said, This past weekend, and this past day have been rough on the city's residents. We are in uncharted territory, and we are all feeling the uncertainty and everything right now. Things are changing daily and sometimes more than that. My goal is to keep City Hall open and the city running. If we are advised or told to do otherwise, then we will consider our options at the time. I will take comments that didn't age well for 500, please.
Daily Double.
So once again, the theme of this show, we're going to be finding out here that a lot of comments have not aged well through the week. The Daily Double will be around yet again, and we'll get to that here a little bit later. Now, however, it goes on to say, Oda said she was concerned for Troy businesses and restaurants and hoped residents would continue to support them over the next few weeks. Oda also asked residents to refrain from stockpiling supplies. That's another one that didn't age well there. If we shop as we normally would, stores will be able to maintain and everyone will be able to get what they need as it is needed. But it will take everyone letting go of the panic and just living normally, she said. We are taking our cues from the state and the Miami County Health Department. We are constantly monitoring the situation as it evolves. Oda said the city would provide updates throughout the public health emergency and encourage residents to find your new normals. Please be calm as you find your new normals. This may last a while or it may not. Be kind to each other. Help your neighbors. Check in on those around you. Remember, we are a community, and that's what we do. So there's a couple of things that I want to get to here and kind of discuss. And if you want to discuss, again, the number is 937-696-7572 if you want to call in. If you've got a different opinion than I do, because we're probably going to have some disagreements throughout the night, which I do welcome. It's a show for the citizens. So we have her saying that no one needs to panic. No one needs to go out to the stores and panic. And then in the very next move that she wants to make is to issue a state of emergency for the city, which we'll be tracking. We've got a whiteboard down here. You can't really see it too well on the computer screen. We haven't found a place to mount it in here yet, but we're going to be keeping track of this because we're going to be locked in here somewhat, except for going outside for essential needs. Days of Troy state of emergency, so we will be updating that throughout the week. It started on, I believe, the 17th. So we are about 6 days now into the Troy state of emergency. I think this is a time for them to get their 5 minutes of fame and weigh in on this. Personally, I don't think it's a good idea to offer a state of emergency. Now, I know, and I think you know this, a state of emergency is not necessarily any actions. And she did go over that here, where it says that nothing's going to change. None of the operations are going to change. They're going to try and keep as much open as they can. Now, we did learn later in the week that City Hall has been closed and a lot of different facilities, I don't have time to mention them all here, but a lot of government and public facilities like that have been shut down now. So that's kind of part of the state of the emergency. That's probably why she issued it, as to be able to do things like that. But I think we all know state of emergencies are simply just a kind of a show. The state is already under a state of emergency, but then the little cities and local governments throughout the area have to issue one. But it's hard, and I know these are the wheels of government. These are how some of these things just go. It's how it's been set up. These are the things within their power and what they're able to do in these situations. And I do understand that. So following that council business on Monday, she had sent that out to everybody. But she did ask them to refrain from stockpiling supplies, and I want to make it clear, I agree with her on this. I think this is a very good message to send to your people in a time of panic, to your citizens, is that we need to shop normally. We need to go about our lives as normally as possible. Sometimes I don't know if this is the fault of the governments or some media outlets where they will put out a misleading headline and they will convince you that things are worse than they really are. Or they will hide the important information somewhere about halfway through the article. So the headline reads something very vague, and we think we're being shut out of the public. We have to stay in our homes. We can't leave. And that's why everyone was out stockpiling. They thought something like this was coming, and inevitably, as I predicted, Sunday or Monday that the order would go out. Well, it went out Sunday, but then it was, of course, going to be implemented tonight at 11:59 p.m., our last moments of freedom. But you can still go out for essential things. You can still go out to the stores. A lot of the stores have cut back on their hours, but they are now providing, I've seen a lot of stores, I think Kroger and Walmart have about a 1 hour gap in the mornings for the senior citizens to do their shopping. A very good thing to have because they are the ones most affected by this virus. So that was a very good message from her. And they were going to give us updates throughout this. And, of course, the updates that we have received is that City Hall is closed and a lot of the other things are closed. But that brings us back to the wheels of government. The next article on the stack, and these kind of go hand in hand, this has been a hot button issue because a lot of the governments nationally across the country, I don't like to talk too much about national news here, but they have been deciding to reimburse or put things on hold or not charging people in these times, doing what they can to alleviate some of the financial stress because so many people have not lost their jobs but have been put out of work for at least 2 weeks that we know of now. If this thing dies down and we start to see the numbers drop, which I believe the national statistics today have, I don't know if they've necessarily dropped, but they're not quite meeting the high expectations for the percentage of the deadly percentage or the affected percentage that they were thinking across the board. So we are seeing lower numbers, and this might indicate that some of their moves here with the shutdown are potentially working. Or maybe this thing would have just ran its course either way. It's something we'll never know. Everyone's going to have their opinion on this. But a hot button issue here in our local town of Troy is the water. It's not what they're putting in it. It's not if we're getting any. We're getting plenty of it. It's for a while, they still wanted us to pay our water bill. They would not release an update on the water bill. And, of course, enough backlash came along. And here we have the article. I believe this one is courtesy of the Troy Daily News, and so was the last one. Was also courtesy of the Troy Daily News. Yingst wrote that one. So this one here, I don't have the name of who wrote this one. Sometimes it's hard to print articles off. I don't want all the pictures on here, so I sometimes snippets of who wrote it and the dates get missed out on it. But in order to protect the health of city employees and assist in stopping the spread of COVID-19 in our community, Troy City Hall and all city facilities remain closed to the public. In addition, on-site staffing will be reduced, with some employees working remotely, holding an on-call status, working alternating schedules, or otherwise maintaining limited physical presence on their facilities. All police and fire first responders will maintain their current schedules. Now, Troy Mayor Robin Oda also announced Friday that the city of Troy will suspend all water shutoffs until May 1st. Additionally, any of those residents who were without water previously due to non-payment have had their water service restored. I'm not sure if that encompasses people right now that maybe have their water shut off even before this whole corona thing got out of hand, and they decided to go ahead and restore those people as well as to not leave them, because they've already got enough crisis going on if they can't pay their water bill before the virus hit. So they might have just restored it across the board, or she might be referring to restoring it for those who had it shut off due to the loss of a job or wages in this financial crisis and the global epidemic. That might be what they're referring to here. But it does say here that anyone without the water previously due to non-payment have had their water service restored. Now, during this pandemic, we want to make sure that all Troy residents and businesses have access to water to stay as clean and hygienic as possible. We are continually monitoring the situation and will extend this initiative as necessary, Otis stated. While services will not be shut off, billing for water and wastewater services incurred during this time will still take place, but penalties will not be added. All customers are encouraged to pay at least some of their monthly bill if possible, because those charges will continue to accrue and eventually be required to be repaid to the utility funds. So essentially, May 1st, assuming this all blows over by the April 6th, it could extend further. They've delayed the election to June 2nd, if that kind of gives you an idea of how long government thinks we're going to be dealing with this. But we'll see what starts to open up or if people can at least return to their jobs in that time. What they're going to have you do is not pay your water bill. Don't pay the penalties once you get the bill again after this whole ordeal is over with. And now you're going to have to pay at least a month, maybe 2, of water bills all at once. Water bills, they're not the most expensive thing in the world. But to people right now, every penny counts. And if a government is telling you that you need to stay in your homes as much as possible, I'm assuming your water rates are going to jump up, your usage. Well, I don't know. You don't have to go outside. Maybe you don't have to take a shower for a week. This is your chance to kind of loaf and watch Netflix or do whatever. But now they want to dump a total on us. It says here that you are encouraged to still pay if you can. So that way when the bills get sent back out, you can have a lesser bill. I don't think that's the point of anyone wanting this to happen. I think they should just suspend the payments for water, essential things like that. You know, we are having to do our parts, walk away from our jobs, stay at home for the greater good. We are being asked this of these very people, these very governments, whether it's a statewide or local thing. They are encouraging that for the greater good. It's been mauled around. The idea is still floating out there of reimbursing Americans for this crisis to the best of their ability. Obviously, the city's got bills to pay, and we all know that. We all pay for these services because we use these services. It makes sense. I have no problem with that. But right now, people they don't have a job, and so when this whole thing blows over, they're going to have to pay off any other bills that they had while earning normal wages that they were earning before this. So unless anything comes down the pipeline to help people pay for these things, I think that it should just be suspended. Your thoughts at 937-696-7572. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But that's what's going on. Utility payment options may be viewed at troyohio.gov/445/payment options. That's where you can get a little more information on that if you're one of these people wondering about the situation. Moving on to the next thing tonight that we've got here. Let's see what's next that we can hit. We've got so much this week. We're kind of getting the old virus stuff out of the way, hitting that. You know, speaking of the water real quick, out here on Cherry, I don't know if anyone's been down here, we've been having some issues with the drainage. I don't know if you've walked around downtown lately, but there's a couple drains that appear to be plugged, and this was pretty prevalent during the winter times, getting in and out of vehicles next to those parking spots that house the drains. The water's been puddling up around those, usually the yellow curbed area, creating ice or whatever the case is. I don't know what the deal is there. That seems like that's something they need to get done. So I understand if they don't receive funds to the water department, and I'm not sure exactly how these funds are dispersed, how are they going to fix issues like that? I can see that side of the argument as well. But we move into the next article, which is The Pandemic Hits the Economy Workers. This one by Sam Wildo, I believe, Miami Valley Sunday News. With over 100,000 people filing for unemployment in less than a week and dozens of types of businesses ordered to close until further notice, the local economy and workers are taking a hit this week. Earlier this week, during a special meeting held between the Miami County Commissioners and elected officials, Miami County Auditor Matt Gearhart explained how the current sales tax collection numbers are based on December's numbers. So it is likely Miami County will not know until around June how badly the coronavirus pandemic impacted the county's sales. Because of the closure of many businesses, I expect there to be a significant decrease in sales tax revenue here in Miami County. On most cases, I would consider that to be a good thing, but you don't say. I wonder why. Along with all non-essential spending. You mean to tell me the government has non-essential spending? It's news to me as well. This is going to be a major impact on our revenue source. We're going to take a major hit on this. A lot of Americans are too. I mean, I get everyone's struggling. Governments, people, this is something completely different. As the mayor did say, this is uncharted territory. somewhat. It's not the first plague of virus we've had before, but this is a new one, and this is the first time I think we've really taken it to this level. So by Thursday, the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services said it received 111,055 unemployment insurance benefit applications online in the past 4 days, compared to 3,895 during the same 4 days last week. This is a little tidbit here. I believe the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services is allowing people to file for unemployment due to this, with kind of like a no strings attached thing. I haven't read too far into that. I haven't had to do it myself. But that's maybe what they're banking on, is that they're going to get some unemployment from this, the people affected by it, so then the city can then collect the funds to go back to normal. And I don't know if right out of the gate, come May 1st, you got to pay that whole water bill, or if they're going to help you out there to kind of ease you back into making wages again. That could very possibly be a thing. And we might reach that point. You know, this started with the water not being shut off, or the water being shut off if you don't pay. And then it's transitioned now, well, we're not going to shut it off, but we do expect to be paid for it. So we'll see the next progression of this maybe next week on next week's show. Mondays at 7 p.m. here on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Beautiful Troy Show. So it goes on to state that the state is also closing 181 driver's license bureaus while keeping 5 open to issue commercial licenses to truckers. That affects me directly. DeWine ordered the State Highway Patrol to stop ticketing drivers for expired licenses and asked other law enforcement agencies to do the same. But it is being reported you can get a second-degree misdemeanor for violating the orders. Just, you're on your way to a park. Don't play on the playground equipment. You see that up in Sydney there. They had they put in all that new playground equipment there over at Chihuahua. I was just out looking at that the other day. Very nice facility. No expense spared on that. Nice addition to the park. And they put out an article today, I think it was Sydney Daily News, saying that they are obviously closing that per the orders, which, again, that makes sense. That's a germ-infested area, is a playground. Now, the Sheriff Emergency Services will be maintained. Local agencies react to the coronavirus. Another one by Sam Wildo from the Miami Valley Sunday News. Local agencies are responding to ongoing concerns about the coronavirus. Miami County Sheriff Dave Duchak released a press release on Friday assuring county residents that essential emergency services will be maintained. I understand these articles are local. I think there needs to be a proofreading phase. I have to sift through a lot of little letters that just shouldn't be there. The essential emergency services will be maintained, though. As you know, local schools have closed to limit potential exposure to our children. He went on to say that I have attended meetings with the Miami County Health Department and other elected officials who are monitoring the situation closely. I plan to keep the community updated with factual information relevant to real-time data as it is received. I want to reassure the citizens of this county that essential emergency services will be maintained. Now, and brace yourself for this one here. Let's see, what's it say? Duchak said the March 17 primary election will be conducted without disruption. I will take comments that didn't age well for 500. Daily double. We all know that the election has now been postponed to June 2nd. Keep that number in your head. These candidates, no matter the political aisle or side that they are on, these candidates work very hard for a year to pump out the number, or the date, I should say, of the election. It's very important. It's very hard to get people to remember stuff. It's an ongoing thing that they have to do, and this is why the election usually takes so long. It gives everyone a fair chance to sift through the candidates and shows how they can hold up under pressure. Now they have about 3 months to get that new date out into people's heads. And it's hard enough sometimes in our local communities to get people out to the polls. We see lower election numbers. We usually, I want to say the numbers around 20, 25%, maybe a fourth on a good year of people that come out from the city's population to vote. I was looking at some of the numbers the other day on the Miami County Board of Elections, but we know how they are with numbers. Local fire departments are also taking special precautions with their patients during the midst of the coronavirus concerns. We are taking universal precautions with all patients, Captain Dustin Lacey of the Piqua Fire Department said. We are basically following the same protocols that we followed with the H1N1, Piqua Fire Chief Brent said. I'm not going to try on the last one. I want to say Paul Schneider. I think that's the correct pronunciation. Troy Fire Department Chief Matthew Simmons said the only change to the department's routine is the EMS side of things, and its equipment gets a deep clean each day. The department is operating as normal, but with more attention to surface cleaning. Simmons said the department has more than enough respirator masks and gowns. If it were to get really bad, Simmons said supplies would last a month due to the overage of supplies from the 2009 H1N1 outbreak. So that's good to hear. They still have some supplies left over from that. Like I said, this isn't the first time that we've dealt with a plague of a virus rounding the country and rounding the globe, all 25,000 miles of it. But this is definitely, it's uncharted. I do agree in a sense that it is uncharted. The response is uncharted, in my opinion. A virus, I don't think that's uncharted. I think we've seen what viruses do, how they come and go, how immunity grows, how vaccines develop for them. I don't think any of that's uncharted. I think how the government, at least the American government's responding here, is just a little bit different and a little bit more uncharted. He says our guys are taking it in stride. We respond to emergencies every day, but we are taking it one day at a time. Simmons also noted Miami County is lucky to have 2 hospital systems, each with their own capability of handling emergencies. We don't want the public to panic either. The high-risk population is the elderly. We want to be able to respond to true emergencies. So unless you are sick, as he puts it here, there's not a lot we're going to do other than take you to a hospital. Simmons said if someone suspects they are positive for the virus, to first contact the Miami County Public Health for testing options and take their directions for care. Let's see here. Was there anything else on the back of that one? So that's pretty much how your local EMS is responding to this. And it makes sense. You know, they can't respond to everything and every cough and every sneeze, you know. So you need to make sure that you know the symptoms of it. And there are plenty of places you can find that. A lot of people have been posting it here in the Troy Show's official, unofficial group, the official group of the Troy Show, the unofficial group of Troy citizens, Troy Ohio Citizens 2.0, facebook.com/groups/Troy Ohio Citizens. A lot of people have been posting over there, keeping you up to date on topics regarding, symptoms, what the local area is doing. There's plenty of information available over there, plenty of posts to sift through and find the information that you are looking for. Now, I want to move into the candidates reacting to the postponed election. So, with the March 17th primary election being postponed due to the coronavirus, local candidates responded to this disappointment, but also concern for both residents' well-being and their right to vote. My main concern is about the citizens of Miami County. Miami County Commissioner Greg Simmons, who is running for re-election, said on Tuesday, elections come and go. People die from the virus. He said that while he is disappointed, you have to look at the big picture. I'm praying for this county, the safety and healing. And those were Simmons' words. Now we move on to the next one here from Wade Westfall. The health and welfare of our citizens is of utmost importance. Wade Westfall, a Republican candidate for the board of the Miami County Commissioners, said, I am disappointed, but we cannot take lightly the impact the crisis may have on our community. The majority of our poll workers are of the demographic that is most at risk. I will continue to work to earn the trust of the voters and look forward to all citizens of the county being able to safely cast their ballot. Now, Greg Dixon, Jr., a Republican candidate for the office of Miami County Commissioner, announced his decision to suspend all campaign activities until further notice in response to the coronavirus crisis. While it might seem like a politician's dream to have an additional period of time in which to conduct campaign activity, the reason for the extension is too serious to ignore and not something to take advantage of. Dixon said, I will not be passing out literature, adding political yard signs, or soliciting votes during this health scare emergency. I personally would use this time. But everyone responds to this differently. They want to practice the social distancing. I agree with the social distancing to a point. We should be doing that in our day-to-day lives, to be honest. And not to this absurd degree at times. We're doing this for a specific reason. But, personal space has always been a thing. I'm not going to walk around 6 feet away from everybody. It's definitely made my shopping trips a lot less crowded. Not really anything to buy there. A lot more people are eating vegetables because of this, too. Speaking of habits, I eat a lot of vegetables. I love eating vegetables. I love cooking vegetables and, putting, I like to put, I'm not going to try and pronounce the particular, let's just say sometimes it's accompanied with steaks or roast beef is the particular sauce, because everyone has a different way of saying it. I'm not going to open myself up for that, but I love cooking with vegetables. Throw a little bit on that. I mean, vegetables are a very underrated thing. Not a lot of people eat them. Some people do. It's not a commonly bought item, but they do go bad within a certain amount of time unless you're canning or jarring them. I just noticed there's like no vegetables at the store. There's nothing. It's hard to find any fresh produce. And a lot of these things are going to go bad. I don't even think a lot of them are going to get through. So don't panic buy. Just buy normally, and I think the supply chain will stay where it's at. I think we've seen now that we are not going to get forced into our homes, completely locked into our homes. I don't think there's necessarily a reason to stockpile. And that's something we've been warned against. But I agree. I think they should probably keep campaigning, at least keeping their social media outlets active for people to engage. I've seen a couple of the candidates have a pretty active, which we'll get to here in a second, social media presence, which is a very important thing, especially in these times, to get that information out. So that way you can keep campaigning, keep letting the citizens know your thoughts on unraveling events and how you would handle them and how you would deal with the pressure of it. I think it's a good thing to go that 3 months and keep campaigning and keep getting the number of June 2nd into people's heads. And I understand why they're not going to be going out and putting signs out and things like that. That I have no issue with. Or some of them, I should say. So it says here, while it might seem like a politician's dream to have an additional period of time in which to conduct campaign activity, the reason for the extension is too serious to ignore and not something to take advantage of, Dixon said. I will not be passing out the literature, adding political signs, or soliciting votes during this health scare emergency. So, as I stated, that's his stance. Now, Mark Williams, a Republican candidate for the office of Miami County Commissioner, said he felt the decision, regardless of whether it was right or wrong, was done in the wrong manner and created a lot of confusion. Williams said he felt the state legislator should have been involved. It was kind of abrupt from the Franklin County judge that he erred on the side of not postponing the election. And then the health director, Amy, came along and said, yeah, no, we're just going to ignore that. It's too serious. So he said the decision will hurt campaigns like his, such as him being a new candidate and not having access to unlimited resources. We'll regroup. We'll come up with a plan, Williams said. Now, this next one, I got two clips I want to go from here. This one's from Joe Gibson. Joe Gibson does have a pretty active social media presence, so I managed to pull some actual audio to kind of switch it up from me reading what they said here. And I'm trying to give everyone here a balanced response to this, get as much of their information out as I can while keeping the show moving. So this first clip's come from Joe Gibson on his initial thoughts on how this will affect the campaign.
I don't like this any more than you. As the governor said in his speech, all candidates always want the election to be done, win or lose, and that's certainly no exception here. We've worked hard, and it's been a tough campaign, but it was hopefully going to be over tomorrow, but I guess that's not the situation. What this allows us to do is, number one, let everybody be safe, and that, of course, is always the priority. As the governor states, the people that are susceptible to this might be the elderly or those with weakened immune systems, both of whom are still citizens who participate in our democratic process. They should never be forced to choose between staying healthy and exercising their right to vote.
So that is Joe Gibson's first initial thoughts on this, and then he continues to say here in this clip and kind of finish out the future plans for his campaign in these next 3 months.
So what does that mean for us? Well, we're going to take this and work as a positive. If nothing else, it allows us to get to know each other a little bit more between now and June. We can present a few more videos, discuss a few more issues, and raise awareness on some other things that we hoped to talk about throughout the campaign.
So now we've got, those were Joe Gibson's thoughts on it. That was when I was able to pull an audible form. I sifted around their various social media websites there, and I couldn't really find too many audible responses. I don't know if maybe I was looking in the wrong places, but I like to try and just let them put it into their own words. If I chop something up or if I edit something, I like to play it in two separate clips. That way, I am not taking something that they say and, because sometimes these updates can be 3 minutes long, and I can't sit here and play the whole thing. I'd rather you just go to their various social media sites. If there is a video like this, you can do so. What we're going to be doing from now on here on the show, that way you have access to all the information. I try to make this show as transparent, as public as possible, in a public access style. So we're going to be putting the show notes in every description of the episode. We're working on a website as well for that. I've pretty much got that one built and ready to ship off. We're just doing a few finishing touches on it. So that way it is easy, simple, and plain for you to access. It's a hub for everything related to this show and networks of Facebook groups. So that way you can stay as involved as possible. So we're going to be putting the show notes and all the descriptions on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, on our website that we can, and you will be able to see all the articles that I've pulled up in one place. So everything that I talk about tonight, possibly some stuff that I don't get to, you'll be able to see that in the show notes. Right there, you can click directly on it and go directly to that article. So we move on now to Paul Reese. He says, my concern for the citizens of Miami County, I am volunteering to assist in any way I can, and I urge others with a needed skill set to likewise. That was Paul Reese's words, of course, running in the sheriff election. Reese is challenging the incumbent Sheriff Dave Duchek. We'll follow the governor and health director's advice. It's about keeping everyone safe, and we respect that. Those were Duchek's words. Candidates for Congress, which includes Republican Edward Muir and incumbent Republican Warren Davidson, along with Democrats Dr. Vanessa Enoch and Matt Gaetti, also did not respond to a request for comment as of press time. Doing this for as long as I have, I've come to accept just butchering names. I'm going to be honest. Because sometimes you just don't know until you learn these things and you get to hear the pronunciation. And that is why I do urge people to get as much information out as possible to their campaign. If people need to realize that sometimes they have names that might be hard to pronounce on first set or looks one way or the other. So I've just kind of gotten over that. If I pronounce something wrong, I have learned people will let me know, and then suddenly I will know the pronunciation. It's very, very nice. Work smart, not hard. Now here's something kind of nice. Something that during this coronavirus that shows the outcome of the community and how people have been showing their support, not only through local businesses. Tomorrow, by the way, Taco Tuesday, there's variation of Mexican restaurants around Troy. We have plenty of them here. Great selections out there. Check them out. Go support them if you are taco enthusiasts such as myself or Taco Tuesday. Plenty of great deals out there. That's one way you can, and that's a very simple carry-out item. So go support them. I believe that is something in the essential list of activities, and I don't disagree with that. It is essential that we practice Taco Tuesday in this country. So that is one of the essential activities. You can go get your carry-out food and bring that back to the home. Just practice your social distancing while you're out and about. After 11:59 p.m. tonight, you'll be making your essential runs from there on out till April 6th. You know, let me get to this other thing first that I've got here before I forget about it, because I do tend to do that a lot. I want to get to the Keeping the Students Fed articles that I have here, or updates on that. We all know the lunch program at the Troy City Schools have been kind of continuing in a limited capacity, at least allowing people to show up and get lunches that might go without. So we do have that. We do have an update on that on deck. But I do want to go over this. This is from the Troy, Ohio Chamber of Commerce, something that they are doing to do their part in this whole ordeal.
Today, I wanted to highlight some really cool things that businesses are doing, because there's a lot of really good news out there too. So first and foremost, I want to highlight Chamber member Teamwork Ohio. Many of you may have seen what they're doing. They decided to print Troy t-shirts, and it's Troy has a heart, and those t-shirts are $22, and you have the option then to support a local business. So when you order the shirt, you do a pull down menu, and you can either support the chamber. We are working on creating a small business grant fund that we will be using once we come out of this crisis to support our local small businesses. or you can support one of the small businesses that are listed in the drop-down menu as well. It's just a great way to come together, and kudos to Teamwork Ohio for doing that.
A little update there from you, from the Troy, Ohio Chamber of Commerce. I believe that was Kathy, if I'm not mistaken. You can watch the full video. Again, any clip that I play, I pull it from somewhere. So you can go watch the full thing for yourself as part of our transparency integrity policy here at the Troy Show. I believe that's posted over in the Troy, Ohio Chamber of Commerce Facebook page is where you can view that at if you want to watch the full thing. So here we go for keeping students fed. Troy Daily News reporting on this one. Lunchroom staff members are handing out the lunches and breakfasts to students at the door at Cookson Elementary. That was just one of the places. All Troy City Schools locations will be distributing lunches to students each weekday between 11:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. during the mandated school closure. Now, I like to have a little bit of fun. I would make my comments that didn't age well a little bit here. But first of all, don't kill a bit. And second of all, use it when you can poke fun at something. This isn't something to poke fun at. These kids are out there in need of food. They've been relying on this every day they go to school. It's part of people's schedules. So we all know that this now, and maybe this is the first time you're hearing this, but following Governor DeWine's stay-at-home order issued Sunday, which takes effect Monday evening, we will be altering how we distribute food to our students in need. We still have our normal pickup times and locations Monday, so that was today. But students will be receiving enough food for the entire week. This means that they will not be distributing food any other day this week. We strongly encourage those who need food to go to their nearest school site tomorrow, which would have been today. Also, online lessons will begin tomorrow, so students should log in to find what their assignments are. We will continue with Chromebook pickup tomorrow for any students who need, which would have been today, but have not yet picked up a Chromebook. Beyond tomorrow, students should contact their building administrator or central office to schedule a Chromebook pickup. We miss our students and can't wait to see them. Until then, stay well, everyone. And that's from the Troy City Schools. So today was the last day to pick that up, but the encouraging note is that they put enough in those food care packages to last them through the week. I believe the number was 5 days there. I don't know if they're going to be doing this again next Monday. Let me take another look at the top of that. It might tell me. Sometimes I miss things. Following Governor DeWine's stay-at-home order issued Sunday, which takes effect Monday evening, we will be altering how we distribute food to our students in need. They will still have normal pickup times and locations Monday, but students will be receiving enough food for the week. So I believe there's a possibility there. It wasn't quite worded clearly, like Mondays, plural. It just says Monday, so I don't know if they just meant today or every Monday until this April 6th deadline comes up. So check in with the Troy City Schools on there, get in contact with them if you'd like to figure out more about that. But they're going to be doing a 5-day instead of daily pickups. They're just going to pack enough for 5 days. That way they can limit the contact and the amount of times you have to go out there and do that. You'll just be ready and good to go. Now remember, practice your social distancing. A lot of these things sound contradictory to what they want us to do. But you just have to remember that this comes with personal responsibility as well, good hygiene, things like that. When there's something like this in limited hours, a lot of people are going to show up at once, so just kind of stay socially distanced. Now we got to get into this Koester Pavllion thing and break this down. This was probably one of the biggest stories of the week, if not the biggest story of the week. I've got quite a few articles to break down here because we got continuous updates throughout the week on this one. It's part of doing a weekly show. You just have a big stack to get to. I'm telling you, you would be surprised how much news comes in from your local community. I mean, this is, if you're watching on the live stream, I don't know if you're just maybe listening in the background, that's kind of the idea of the stack, and I didn't even put everything in this. Okay, these are all of my closer look stories that I kind of dive into and don't glance over. Things that kind of need a little bit of diving into, breaking down. There's a lot that comes out. And that's one of my goals with this show is to make sure that's all categorized and broken down and people have an audible way of hearing it. So 2 coronavirus cases linked to Koester Pavllion, courtesy of Melody at the Troy Daily News. Miami County Health Commissioner Dennis Probst of Miami County Public Health is the one that's going to be kind of mainly mentioned in this. It says, unfortunately, we're here to bring some serious news to both of our counties and the citizens of the Miami Valley. Patterson said, We regret that we must inform you that we have our first positive test of coronavirus known as COVID-19 of Clark County resident. This is not unexpected, but we knew it was eventually going to happen, and today we do have those laboratory results. I'm not going to read every single article that I've pulled here. I'm not going to go through this. I'm sure a lot of you have been following this, but I kind of want to just clarify because it seemed to be confusing to some of the people out there. Again, and this is part of it, I'm not naming any one particular outlet here. It's kind of media across the board anymore. Media relies on clicks and views to make money to keep bringing you news. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is a lot of times they want to break the news very quickly, and to get you to read, they'll make a vague title. And we kind of found this. Some people were confused by it. So a lot of people, and the news establishments could easily make the case that the people just didn't read what they wrote, but they will hide it maybe later on in the article. And it is unfortunate a lot of people just don't seem to go that long in an article. They read what they need to see, and anything at the bottom kind of gets filtered out. So a lot of people were confused as to who died and what they died from. To be clear, as of my knowledge right now, I don't believe there's any confirmed case of COVID-19 in these two situations. Now, there are confirmed deaths of COVID-19. I don't believe out of Koester Pavllion yet. Those might have dropped today, and I might just have missed it in the news feed. But I want to just kind of let people know what was going on and make sure that they know to read into these things. But if you don't have the time, that's what we're here for. I read it so you don't have to. So there was a Steve Bollinger, and let me find the other name here. I had it on hand. I want to say Eric, but we will get around to that here in a second as I sift through my highlights. But there were two people that were mainly affected by this. There was a 70-year-old and a 93-year-old. One of them was Steve Bollinger. And Steve Bollinger was taken, he was at Koester Pavllion at one point, and he was taken, I want to say, to the Dayton VA, and they had tests done. And they were awaiting those test results. And in the meantime, I believe the other Bollinger, unfortunately, at the age of 93, passed away. It's a very sad story. But neither of them at the time were confirmed. They were both awaiting test results. And since they were both awaiting test results, and then the media is using this weird term, presumptive positive. I get what it means, but I think it scares and confuses a lot of people. And I've seen it. I've had some people talk to me about it, and I've talked to them about it. I think it just really confuses people. Sorry for the fluttering of papers. I'm going through my article here to make sure I get the appropriate names as to not do any disrespect to the deceased. But I think that just bothers me a lot, that they're using terms like presumptive positive. Either report it or don't. I mean, they use something a little bit longer. I know they only have so much room to use in the articles or the headlines, but kind of get that out of the way, out of the gate, because that's what people are reading for right now. Everyone's on edge right now, and they want to read. They want to see, has it come to the Miami Valley? Which it did. We all know that now. But at the time, everyone was, this is coming close to home. These things usually don't come this close to home. It's usually either major cities that are affected by it, but in this area of the Midwest, in this tri-state area, this transition area of the Midwest to the east, to the south, it usually doesn't come this close. We usually don't get to see our stores like this, even on Black Fridays and things like that. National events just don't really tend to affect us too much out here. But this one has. So I think we need to not use terms like presumptive positive. When you put positive in there, I'm going to just go out on a limb here. What would you think when you see the term positive? Would you read that word presumptive, or would your mind remember positive? Which word would it remember, presumptive or positive? These are little games that can get played in articles for clicks, and then they'll come out with the second article, which would be confirmed, positive, COVID-19. And then they get people clicking on that article. That's my question to you. Which one would you remember? Presumptive or positive? Which word? And if you want to tell me which word, in person, live on the show, 937-696-7572 is the number for that. And we'll get you screened and on hold for when we start taking calls. So this whole Koester Pavllion thing is very sad, very tragic situation. Those at high risk for the illness from COVID-19, which causes mild to severe respiratory illness, are those over 60 years old with chronic illness and or a weakened immune system. Symptoms include fever, cough, and difficulty breathing. As we go further through the stack of this, it says, Koester says it's isolating quarantine and quarantining patients. There is a difference between self-isolation and quarantine, just so everyone knows. I mean, you can self-isolate yourself or you can be mandated into quarantine. That was also kind of an issue that I noticed some people talking about. So to clear that up, that is a thing. So here it is. With one positive case and one presumptive positive test of coronavirus at a nursing home in Troy, officials want the community to know they are doing everything possible to contain the disease. Visitor restrictions were proactively implemented on March 6th, which cumulated with total restrictions the evening of March 12th. All group activities for residents were halted, the release says. With the other suspected cases at Koester Pavllion, staff continue to isolate and quarantine residents while ensuring that they are able to communicate with family members and friends through FaceTime and phone calls, and that's what they said in the release. A resident of Koester Pavllion, of course, who was taken to Upper Valley Medical Center a week ago and was awaiting a test result for coronavirus, has died, according to the Miami County Coroner's Office. According to the officials, the coronavirus test was administered on the 17th, day of our state of emergency, but results have not been returned yet. It cannot be confirmed as a death related to COVID-19. So right there is, if I scroll through this article here, there's no presumptive. There's no presumptive positive. I mean, if you want to say presumptive or hasn't been confirmed, those are pretty good words. But when you put that word positive in there, it freaks people out. Here it is. Earl Bollinger, 93, died at Upper Valley Medical Center overnight, according to his granddaughter, Andrea Lee. She said the test results were at 100% confirmed, but family is almost positive it was coronavirus. There it is again. There's that word positive. People click for that stuff. Lee said her father, Steve Bollinger, was taken to the Dayton VA Medical Center from Koester Pavllion, which is where he tested positive for the virus. He was tested positive. Steve Bollinger has since been transferred to Miami Valley Hospital in critical condition. Neither one of them has any signs, any symptoms, Lee said. Next thing you know, you hear about the virus, and they're both being put in ICU. So another issue I noticed which was confusing in this is Koester Pavllion incident, which is very sad in its own right. It's hard to see this come to this area. But some people got it confused that Steve and Earl were one and the same. So when Earl died, everyone thought that was the first confirmed case. But at the time, only Steve had been confirmed. But that differentiation wasn't being made very clearly, or terms like positive were being thrown around left and right. And by the time people got through reading it, I think it's really a responsibility to try and clarify. It's not something you have to do, but it does make good journalism, and it does make for better integrity to clarify these things and make sure that you're thinking in the mind of the reader, in the mind of the listener. So I noticed some people were confused by that, and they were trying to say that hasn't been a confirmed case, and they're just saying presumptive when there had been a confirmed case, and that was in the case of Steve. But they had not got the test results back for Earl, the 93-year-old who passed away. So it's very important that we read into these things, and it's also very important for the people providing the content for us to read to make sure they're doing their best, and they might have been. I'm not throwing any stone at anybody on that matter. It's a very confusing time for everyone, and everyone's doing their best to get the information out there. Now, the deceased man's son, who is 70 years old, was also a resident of Koester Pavllion and was one of 2 confirmed positive cases of COVID-19. Now, he was in the hospital in critical condition. Now, I believe, and they didn't make this clear either, I kept searching for this as well throughout the articles, and I couldn't find it anywhere, where they said that Earl was brought there because he was showing symptoms. That was not confirmed. Maybe they didn't have the information at the time of writing it, but that would have been something to help guide people through. Now, it says here, Probst said as of Friday, 32 people now exhibit symptoms of COVID-19. This is as of Friday. And of those people, 16 are residents of Koester Pavllion. 14 are staff members, and 2 are visitors to the center. 8 of those 32 people are currently hospitalized with conditions that vary from mild and treatable at home to advanced life support in the intensive care unit. The range is 53 to 94 years of age. 8 are male and 8 are female. Probst addressed discriminatory reports of vendors not delivering to the Koester Pavllion and businesses refusing the facility's employees' service. I expected better from Miami County and the state of Ohio, Probst said. This is an extremely difficult, complex situation. These fine men and women, are doing everything they can to contain this situation. And by taking actions like that, you are making it much more stressful and difficult for them to do their job, to take care of our parents, our grandparents, and give them the care they need. I would highly suggest those companies and those individuals and businesses to reevaluate the decisions and the choices they've made and open to the community. Now is the time to come together. Now is the time to cower in fear. It's a very unfortunate event. Now is the time to come together. Now is not the time to cower in fear. It's a very unfortunate event. It's a little bit of drama, a little bit of sad news coming out of Koester Pavllion, bringing our first cases to the Miami County. I want to say the death, I just read this a little while ago. I don't really like to go over these numbers. I mean, if you look at the numbers, it's nowhere near as bad as people are saying. It's unfortunate that life is being lost. But I am going to continue living my life as I have for the last 23 years of my life, as if it's my last day. I get up every day and I look forward to the new, exciting things life has to me, knowing that at any time these things can happen. And it's unfortunate when they come close to home, but I'm sure we will all pull together and deal with this. Now, the ODH director thanks the Koester employees, public health. This is coming out of Columbus from the Troy Daily News. I really want to take a moment to talk about the incredible work that is being done around the nursing home in Miami County and to the work being done by the local health department and health commissioner, Probst, and his colleagues in nearby counties. That is what Acton said. I've heard stories of these folks on the front lines. These are the folks that work in nursing homes that are facing some stigma just because people know that they work in a nursing home. It is just the opposite. These people are following all the rules that we have set forth for them. We need to thank them every second. We need to help them keep doing their job. They're very critical people in these situations, and they've got a lot on their hands. Let's see here as we move through the stack. If you want to be a part of the show, get your thoughts on anything that I have talked about here, simply swing in on the phone line, 937-696-7572. That is the number to dial up there. Got to resort my stack. Every once in a while, this thing gets... We're still developing our protocols here at the studio for handling show notes and information. We went over the water shutoffs, reacting to the coronavirus. I've got a lot here. I know I've not covered everything. I must have put it somewhere in the other stack. I think that's it. I think I split the stacks. Let's throw that to the wayside and grab the other one here. Let's see what we got. All righty here. So moving on to some lighter news regarding the community here and some community news stories. That's pretty much all we've got to say about COVID-19 this week as far as how it's affecting the local community, everyone's response to it. If you want to tell us again how it's affecting you, you can email us, beautifultroyshow@gmail.com, or you can also give us a call, 937-696-7572. We'll be here live every Monday night. Starting at 7 o'clock, you'll be placed on hold, and we will get you in on the show as soon as we can get to you. So, something interesting, and I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. I told you the guys this last week. I love when restaurants come to the downtown. I love finding new restaurants here in the local community and exploring them and seeing what their take is on Troy, on what they think we need brought to the community for dining options, because having multiple dining options always gets me excited. So the new owners of the building that housed the old La Piazza restaurant on Troy's public square, as we all know that's been for sale for a while, that was for 25 years they were there, are looking for a restaurant to call the first floor space home and plan to use the upper floors for living space, possibly their own in years to come. Bob Widule, president of the RLW Company of San Antonio, said he and his wife, Claire, bought the building after discovering it and Troy while looking for a place to live in anticipation of Claire, who was in the Air Force, being stationed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. says, "We fell in love with Troy," Widgell said. "We noticed the building was for sale, and I ran some numbers. We were hoping to live in a portion and lease the rest, but we recently received word we are going to be stationed at Scott near St. Louis." The couple, through 2nd North Market Street LLC, bought the buildings at 2 and 6 North Market Street in early February from the previous owner for $595,000. I'd say worth every penny. There are no extreme plans for the building. The goal includes getting the restaurant and the apartment above at least. It's a gorgeous apartment right now in the square, and the restaurant space is just waiting for an operator to make it their own. He is working with Jordan Romberger of our corporate real estate department on leasing the properties. Once the restaurant and apartment above are complete, attention will turn to renovating a third-floor apartment at 6 North Market Street, followed by third-floor space in 2nd North Market Street. It's an old fellows' hall, has fantastic bones and dramatic windows and ceiling height. We plan to make that space our home when we can, and that'll come through right Pat someday. We just leased the space until then. Widgell said of the third-floor space in 2nd North Market Street. City and downtown leaders were pleased to see the La Piazza building sell 2 years after the restaurant closed. Yeah, the building, I don't know, it's been for sale for quite some time, been closed longer. We all kind of wondered what are we going to put in there? And it looks like they're going to do exactly what I think most people wanted. I can't speak for everyone in the city, but I know I wanted the restaurant to be back open. I like restaurant options, and it's good to switch it up every once in a while. The building is an anchor to downtown, said Tim Davis, City Development Director. We look forward to seeing the property placed back into productive use to complement the attraction that downtown offers. The Troy Main Street Downtown Advocacy Organization was excited the building sold and is looking forward to its future use, Main Street's executive director said. Apologies for some of the stutters tonight. I did everything else. I had everything prepped, everything good to go. Just a few minutes late on the live button. And I forgot to put water in my glass. So maybe if the call screener is listening, we can get some water in here. If not, no big deal. We will professionally muddle through. So big news, big exciting news coming for La Piazza here in the historic downtown, a place that I've been familiar with now for about 4 years of my life. I have lived in the city my entire life, but the downtown has been an area that I've got to explore. Come down here. If you've not, you'd be surprised how many people don't come down here, don't operate down here. I used to know someone that I asked him, do that building down there, just a normal landmark most of us know, and they had no idea. They lived on the other side of town. They never came down here. Their day never led them down here. So you'd be very surprised. So the Great Miami River rises 5 to 10 feet in 2 days. And on that note, also, just look up when you're downtown. Look up, look around at the second stories and third stories and space that can be used. Wow, look at that. That is service, just like that. That's impressive. We're practicing social distancing here. This was handed to me from at least 6 feet away, I can assure you. Usually I should hit the mute button for that, but anyway, here we go. Great Miami River rises 5 to 10 feet in 2 days. We've been experiencing a lot of rain. We're experiencing the full Ohio cycle right now. Tornadoes and rain and snow, all of that pretty much before spring. Now we're a couple days into spring. We're starting to see the rain, which is normal. I like rain this time of year. It means everything's growing, and we're going to get back to normal. So the Great Miami Valley River here, the Great Miami River, part of the valley, in Dayton and Hamilton is up to about 5-10 feet above average there, respectively, since earlier this week. Last night, the Miami Valley received between 0.7 and 2.3 inches of precipitation, with a few locations receiving more than 3 inches. So it's up about 5 to 10 feet. The MCD's flood protection system of dams and levees is working as designed, preventing floodwaters from affecting downtowns along the river from Piqua to Hamilton. 4 of the MCD dams, Germantown, Inglewood, Lockton, and Huffman, are temporarily storing floodwaters. Storage begins when the water levels rise to near the top of the conduits, concrete openings at the dams. Now, speaking of the river, some juveniles created a tense moment on the river. That's not my term for them. It says juveniles create tense moments on the river. That's according to the Troy Daily News. Not the term I would use, but some juveniles were out there. A group of juveniles speak to a Miami County Sheriff's deputy regarding this incident that they had some tense moments on the river. There were some tense moments for first responders after a group of juveniles decided to use their time out of school to play around the rain-swollen Great Miami River on Thursday. A Miami County Sheriff's deputy was flagged down on State Route 41 at the Broadford Bridge around 12:30 p.m. by a juvenile who reported that some friends had crossed through high water and were stranded and could not make it back to safety. The Troy Fire Department was dispatched along with a medic unit and boat crews. As crews and equipment arrived on the scene, it was discovered that the three juveniles, who were apparently trapped on a small island in the river, had managed to make their way back across onto the bike path. Deputies had to talk to the group of four kids and contacted their parents to advise them of the danger of being near the river with the dangerously high water. Well, so I guess once they got the situation calmed down, they became kids instead of juveniles. And that is the correct term for them, probably when writing an article. And some sad news to come out here. A fatal crash investigation is continuing in Tip City. The accident that claimed the life of a Tip City woman earlier this month is still under investigation. I'm not going to bother with the name, but a 71-year-old of Tip City passed away as a result of a crash involving two vehicles that occurred at approximately 11:30 a.m., March 8th, in the area of West State Route 571 and South County Road 25A. And it's not that I couldn't pronounce the name or anything like that. I feel only if I need to explain different names in order to explain the situation better. But in times where there's just a name, I mean, you could read it, it is public knowledge, but we don't need to call that out. I think the families go through enough on that. So the crash was originally reported as a non-injury accident, and a records request to the Tip City Police Department was denied Thursday due to the investigation still pending. According to initial reports, the accident may have been the result of a possible traffic light violation. Durr was transported to a local hospital following the crash, where she later passed away as a result of her injuries. Got reading a little too quick for me there. Additional information was not available as of Thursday. I just don't like to make it a point to specifically call out and call attention to it. I think people go through enough in scenarios like this, but it's kind of interesting when you look back at it. Let's see here. It said, saw this earlier, as a result of a crash involving two vehicles that occurred at approximately 11:30 a.m. March 8th at West State Route 571 and County Road 25A, which is a rough little area there. I see a ton of crashes there. When I travel that strip down to Vandalia, or I golf a lot down there in Tip City during the summer. So I've seen plenty of crashes there on my way to and from golf. But according to initial reports, the accident may have been the result of a possible traffic light violation. But it said earlier, right here, the crash was originally reported as a non-injury accident. So I don't know if maybe they were transported later or they took themselves later. But it's kind of interesting. I mean, if it was critical enough to pass away from injuries, it might have been injuries that occurred later on in the day. Maybe something that wasn't noted at the scene. I don't know if she was taken. I'm not sure. Just something to look into if you do look into it. All right, now we got some local drama. Last week we talked about Loretta's Country Kitchen out there in Christiansburg and what was going on out there. Well, this week it's come a little bit closer, and by a little bit closer, I mean directly to the downtown with the new Heron's Meat Market. Now, I've got some images here I'm going to try and sift through, and I knew as soon as this story came out that there was something off about it. I just had quite the feeling. And I wanted to look into it a little bit more because as soon as this was sent to me, people usually send me these things because they think I'll have an interest in it, and they are correct. I like to document these things, get both sides of them out there. But this gentleman, Johnny Harrison, posted on their Facebook, and they might not have been aware of this. They might have apologized since, but I believe the original post is made private, so I wasn't really able to follow up much on his side. I'm sure maybe we'll hear a statement eventually from him, or maybe he just didn't understand the process of what price gouging actually is. But he took to Facebook, fired up his keyboard to accuse Heron's Meat Market of price gouging. And I thought something was off because he posted this. It says, "Beware of Heron's Meat Market in Troy, Ohio. On March 18th, I purchased several items from Heron's for a total cost of $128. I noticed on my receipt today that I was charged $17 for 2 loaves of bread. I'm a Wonder Bread guy myself, so that does seem a little bit high at first glance. I was informed by an employee, per that manager, that due to supply and demand, Herons is charging $8.50. Well, yes. So he didn't quite grasp that. They were correct. What that manager told them was correct. They are charging $8.50 due to supply and demand. So I look further. I think there's got to be more to this. He posts a picture of the receipt, and he posts a picture of the specific brand. High quality, by the way. Good job. If anyone needs their bread photographed, this guy's your man. Of the specific brand of bread. I think it's Rotelli's Italian Bakery. All natural, 100% whole wheat, 9-grain bread. Tends to be a little bit more pricey, but I'm thinking, man, a loaf of bread, that seems steep. But then I thought, wait a minute, it was $17, $8.50 a loaf. Let's see here. Let's say it was $4.50, because maybe this is a premium brand of wheat bread, because this is Herons Meat Market. They have a lot of fresh produce there. They have a lot of fresh meats. They pride themselves on things like that. That is what you're doing when you go shop local at a place like that. You are trying to get a high-quality item that's not just store-bought off the shelf like that. So I immediately went directly to the website that sells this brand of bread. And come to find out, this was later posted by Herons Meat Market themselves. This was his totals that he put in. But I looked at this beforehand. 100% whole wheat, 9-grain from the seller's website, rotellasbakery.com, $25.25. 100% whole wheat, 9-grain. By the time that the shipping, this is the kicker, for UPS ground, $24.97 for the shipping. So by the time you add all of that up, you have $50.22 as the total for this bread. Now, I don't know, maybe they have a little bit more of a wholesaler discount, but it's going to be on par. Because let's say the bread originally sold for about $4.50. You double it to $8.50 a loaf. That's not absurd. Because the demand is so high and the supply is so low. Price gouging occurs when they go and buy out an item ahead of time at a normal price, and then they jack it up 3-4 times the price. And they hoard it and they sell it on the side. That's price gouging. But you cannot control what the supplier puts out as the consumer of the product, as the person reselling the product, as the middleman, bringing it to your counter. So first of all, he puts out its wheat bread. It's a special bakery that I don't really hear about too much. I believe Walmart sells it, but it's always going to be a couple bucks more. Look, you can buy the $1 loaf or the couple cents loaf, or you can buy a higher grade on any normal day. These are not normal times, and that's not price gouging. They have to make a profit still, so if the supplier increases the cost of ordering it, well, they can't just sell it at face value or sell it what they would normally do. They'd be losing money on that. And if people weren't panic buying, I mean, the fact they're still offering bread, I mean, the first thing I'm thinking of is not to complain about this. They're still offering bread. So, very interesting there. It goes on, though. Now we've looked at the receipt, and the receipt does say 2 wheat bread, $17. Plenty of evidence there. But Herons released that statement telling everyone, look at this. This is what we are getting the bread for. This is what we're reselling it for. And this was a statement released on the Herons Meat Market's Facebook page, Herons Market. Recently, a post has circulated within the community about alleged price gouging by my business. This post is meant to address those accusations to anyone who has not been in my store, heard of my store, and that does not know my staff, family, or myself. Because frankly, if you've been in or know of Herons Market, you expect honesty and quality customer service, and don't need to be told these things. This post was an outright lie. The accusation was that in these tough times, Herons Market was price gouging on loaves of bread, therefore taking advantage of the world situation and the community's misfortune. These accusations disgust me. They hit right where it hurts for someone that has dedicated so much time away from his family to build my business up and bring it to downtown. I have had a string of nasty phone calls and messages regarding this, undoubtedly resulting in lost business. Specifically, this person claimed This person's claim was increased loaves of bread to $8.50 per loaf. As you can see, after shipping, this bread costs $8.37. This is the bread we have access to currently. I wanted to at least offer customers the option to bring bread home to their family. In these tough times, it is more important than ever to support local business. So from what he's saying, the bread loaf comes in at $8.37 and he's selling it for about $8.50. That's not even a 20-cent profit. It's like a 13-cent profit, if he's even profiting. Because let's be honest, that's not price gouging. And I saw that story and I knew it was going to gain tread and it was going to go get shared around as they normally do. And we'll wait for the facts and response to come in. I was excited to talk about it, though. And this, I think Karen managed it very well. I was in there the other day just checking out the place. They got a nice little lounging place. I think that might be one of the nicest views for eating downtown. It's something different. You know, he's got the whole upper deck there, just completely open and visible. You can see everything. There's so many great views in the downtown area. I'm telling you, you got to look around, find the places where you can get up on the second floors and third floors that maybe businesses are open up there. Go check it out if you've not been down there. But that is the drama unfolding here in the downtown this week, and that guy's post was made officially. I can't even find it. I had a hard enough time pulling up that screenshot. I remembered to get that. Always screenshot things, I'm telling you right now, because you might lose the information on it. But as soon as I saw that, I thought that's ridiculous. That's not price gouging. That's just going with the supply and demand. And I believe they put out a statement later because they're one of the places that still kind of has milk in town. And these are more organic or more locally sourced. This is supporting your local business. The prices are going to tend to be a little bit higher, but fair for the product, if that makes sense. Alrighty, now let's see. Before we get into the glancing, we might have some people on hold over here. We've got Brad. Let's talk about price gouging. Let's see here. We'll try and bring him in as best we can here. Yeah, it's the first time that we are going to be taking a call. If you want to get your call before we take this call here, 937-696-7572. Let's go ahead over to Brad from Troy. He wants to talk about the price gouging situation. Brad, you got 1 minute. Go ahead.
All right, Kyle. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Good. I want to correct a little bit of information you're putting out there about price gouging. Price gouging does not occur by hoarding. It actually occurs on the seller, and so it is kind of hard. It is kind of hard to explain, but according to Wikipedia, and we all know about Wikipedia, it says price gouging occurs when a seller increases the price of goods, services, or commodities to a level much higher than is considered reasonable or fair. And in this case, of course, we're in a demand shock right now, so it could be considered price gouging. And I wanted to know, do you think he was price gouging?
Do I think he was price gouging?
Yeah.
I don't believe, and before I continue, I'm going to say you do have another about 15 seconds if there's anything you want to go on, or if you want me to take over here and call. That way everyone has the fair time.
I'll hang up and hear your answer.
You can hold on to the line for a little bit. We'll drag you on a minute more. We just guarantee here that you do at least get 1 minute before I say anything. So I just wanted to.
Oh, okay,
let you know
okay.
So I will respond.
Hey, I'm a first-time caller.
Well,
I'm
we
a first-time caller.
Not only the first-time caller, but you are the first caller to the show. So that is an honor you will forever hold, Brad.
All right, thank you.
Well, as far as the price gouging thing
go ahead.
goes, this is kind of my thoughts on the whole price gouging thing. So I don't think it was because, like I said, these loaves are usually anywhere from right around, they can be a couple dollars. This isn't, like I said, this isn't Wonder Bread. So what he's doing here, and he's shown the screenshot of it, when he went to the website, and this is something I did early on when I saw the post about an hour after it was posted, on the website there, for the bakery itself, the people selling it, they were selling it right around that cost, and it came out to be $8.37 a loaf, and he's selling it for about $8.50 a loaf. So right now, I mean, if you went to Walmart, you got to think about it this way. If you went to Walmart at this time, you wouldn't even be able to find a loaf of bread readily available over there unless the truck just got in. So he made that point in one of his posts. I don't think you'd be able to find much of anything.
Right. I don't think you'd be able to find much of anything right now.
Right. There's not much over there. I mean, if you want to buy some cables or something like that, you can. But as far as the produce and food section goes and household supplies goes, there's not much over there. So at least we have some downtown options. These local stores are offering us the ability to buy bread. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about our system is that even in these times, there are places you can go if you can get the money for it. Now, you could possibly make the case that the seller, the wholesaler, that he's getting this bread from possibly is price gouging. That's the one thing I don't know is the initial cost of this bread from the wholesaler, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But accusing...
And you said what? It was...
about $8.37 a loaf, something like that. And the shipping is outrageous on that right now. It's like $24 to get it shipped. And I think that's just standard. That's not even check marking something higher up. So that is kind of the thought on that for me. I don't think he is personally price gouging anyone. I think he is providing and at least getting the stuff on the shelf, like he said, for people to go home to his family. And I think this was something that the guy was either upset at the time or he was looking for something to go get shared around Facebook. I don't know the motives. I can't speak for the man. Maybe he just really thought that was the case, and maybe since then he's been proven wrong, and he might apologize or just go about his day. So okay. I definitely don't think he was.
All right. Well, second question I'd like to ask you is with this new stay-at-home order that's come out, I don't know if you've had the chance to take a look at it, but I'm of the opinion that this is fraught with so many loopholes that it is going to be practically unenforceable.
Brad, you're 100% right on that. You are definitely you're nailing it when it comes to that because not much has changed other than even small businesses being shut down or a couple more people losing the ability to work.
Well, and I think the thing that has changed now is that if you are caught out doing non-essential stuff, you're going to be charged.
Yes. How do they prove that?
Yeah, they can't. I could tell you if you was a sheriff's deputy and you pulled me over, I could say, hey, I'm on my way to the park.
Correct.
Take a walk.
That was my initial thought. That's what I was going to tell everyone. I'm on my way to go check in on my parents or something like that. You can easily come off with there's no way they can enforce this. And I think it's just, they know that they cannot keep us locked in our houses. We won't stand for that. So they come out with an order saying it's a stay-at-home order, yet they tell us at the same time, go out to the park, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is it's just something they can use on the campaign trail when re-election comes around, and everyone says, wow, thank you for the action you took on that matter.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and say this, and I hope I'm wrong. Now, mind you, and I don't mean to throw politics into this because I'm a very staunch Republican. I've voted Republican for 28 years.
Sure.
But I think Governor DeWine is going to be one term and out over this.
Well, I'll tell you, my personal opinion is I hope so. But like you said, you voted one way for so many years, and there's plenty of people in this city, and there's plenty of views on it. And that's one thing about this show. Since you're our first caller, Brad, I kind of want to make an example of this for everyone else. If there's something I say or Brad says or any other caller says, we offer the ability for everyone to get their viewpoint out here. So that is such a vital thing. And Brad, I want to thank you for being someone that stands up and voices their opinion and gets it out there because our community needs these discussions, especially in these times.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I've been around, like I said, I voted Republican for 28 years, and Miami County is such a Republican stronghold that, it just blows my mind how politics goes in this county. I mean, you've seen it. You've seen it on the original Troy, Ohio Citizens page.
Yes,
Am I right?
We've been there. This is what this whole endeavor is based off of. We've got, I do believe, and I don't think this is necessarily a political statement, I do believe that we need to open an outlet for everybody, okay? Troy is a beautiful place to live. Miami County is a nice county to live in. There's a lot of good here, but I find some stuff gets swept under the rug, and I'm just trying to prevent or provide an outlet for people to vent. And get these thoughts out there and get this discussion going. Anyone and all are welcome to call and join the group. And you make a good point there. Troy, Ohio Citizens 2.0 without the stigma of previous individuals. So, yeah, well, we're glad we have you over there, and we're glad everyone, we hit 300 members over there, sailing over 300 now. I think we're up 20 members today. And you can join that at facebook.com/groups/Troy, Ohio Citizens. Brad, you make a valid point. I want to thank you for calling. We've got a couple of articles we got to get to tonight and make some room in case anyone else calls. But thanks so much for listening tonight.
All right, Kyle. Thanks.
Hey, you stay safe. Have a good one. All right, so that was our first call on the show there. That was our first call. It's exciting times. I was excited for that. I think that's how the discourse in this city should go. That's how the discourse should be handled right there. Everyone here has a voice to call in, 937-696-7572. You get 1 minute uninterrupted, as you might have heard my timer, my Android timer going off. Forgot about that. It does have that annoying dinging. So we're going to have some kind of a timer here eventually that doesn't make that dinging noise. But I want to give everyone a voice here. So if you've got something to say, 937-696-7572. Or you can email us, beautifultroyshow@gmail.com. Got some articles here that I just want to glance over. And again, I do want to make it clear, I don't think that was a case of price gouging in that sense. If it was, I'd be sure to let you know. I hold no bias on that. I will talk about it. I don't believe that was the case. And I knew that from the time that post went out. I hope the man that issued that post, the original post accusing of him that, because that can cause damage to a business. I understand that. I hope he either apologizes or realizes maybe he was frustrated. We're all on edge at the time. I hope maybe he kind of makes a statement back saying he's sorry, because that wasn't a case of price gouging. If he wants to direct his frustration somewhere, I mean, direct it at the bakery that produces these maybe, or whoever. Or directed at the fact that we've got a virus. Directed at the fact that people are hoarding supplies. Our mayor's made it clear, don't go out and hoard stuff. It's not good for anybody. You know, you hoard milk or something like that. I think milk maybe you can freeze. You can can your veggies and things like that. But these stores are not equipped to handle everyone converging at once. You can't hold a business model like that. So keep that in mind. Moving on. So we got some restaurant inspections. We'll run down a couple of these. Dollar General, 785 West Market Street here in Troy, corrected during inspection. Critical employees are not informed in a verifiable manner of their responsibility to report information about their health. Very important right now that we know that. Employee health policy on file only had 4 of 13 verifiable illnesses. They gave an example document at the time of inspection. This is, of course, coming from the Troy Daily News. They put out one of these inspections every so often, and the reports come out. This one's from March 10th here. Outer opening not protected. Observed gaps in between the front entrance doors. Also observed insufficient door sweep on side door leading to dumpster area. Please address to prevent entry and re-entry of pests. Improper storage of food items. They also conducted the one at the Tip City, but we're going to kind of, there's so many of these. You can go to Troy Daily News and read all of this for yourself, but we just kind of want to glance. Again, this is kind of the glance segment of the show as we wind things down. Articles that aren't too serious or anything, we're just kind of glancing through them, or maybe there's not a lot of substance to them to talk about. It hasn't really caught my eye. But that's some of that from the Dollar General there. And what else we got here? We got some Miami County and Piqua health inspections, and all of these links will be in the show notes. You can find those in the description after we get everything posted. We're going to have a website for you to go to as well for this. The Lighthouse Cafe in Main Street in Piqua. This was inspected February 25th. Bacon held at 74 degrees and potatoes held at 92 degrees. They need to keep all that food above 135 degrees or below 41 degrees to prevent bacterial growth. Discard. Keep all TCS foods, for whatever that stands for. The creamer was marked keep refrigerated, kept on table. Absolute tragedy. Discard. Slaw made 214 in prep unit. Only keep ready TCS foods for 7 days after made or opened. First of all, discard all coleslaw. I don't know what they mean by discard only some of the coleslaw. Let's see here. What else we got here? Mojo's Bar and Grill, 109 East Main Street here in Troy. It's a nice little bar down there. Date of inspection, February 11th. Repeat multiple use items in the basement were observed and covered and beneath drain lines. Cover and move items away from drain lines during the inspection. They did observe some multi-use items in plastic containers, multi-use food containers, and above 3 compartment sink were observed wet, being stored on top of each other. Critical plastic food containers were observed with cracks and section missing. And I think that's pretty much it for the local area here. You can read all of these. We'll have them in the show notes, have all the links, all of it laid out. Pretty much just how I've said it on the show here, so the way you can find it very easily. And like I said, I'm going to talk about these things. I don't hold a bias on this, okay? These public reports are made public for a reason. The citizens need to know about this, and it is the job of every business owner, and I'd say 99% of the business owners know these health inspections are out there, and they work to correct these issues very fast. I've seen turnarounds on these very quickly. It does not stop me from eating at these places. It does not freak me out. It lets me know that there's someone out there making sure and maintaining, and I think this virus has brought that straight to front and center, that there are some practices we do need to improve on. So you can see all that for yourself. Troy Daily News, all the news outlets in the Miami County here, they put those reports out every so often. They're public knowledge, and it's good that the public is informed. That's one thing the show is for, is informing the public. One of our resident passerby ricers out front here in the historic downtown district of Troy. Been an influx of those guys lately. I do love a loud-sounding car, just not while I'm doing my show, but, you know, they're having fun at least, getting it in before 11:59 tonight. Nice story here. A young boy visits Kettering, grandma in the quarantine through the window. You know, they're still able to see them. She's got a smile on her face, and she's on the phone with them, and they're talking through the window. Kind of a nice story there coming from WHIO. Troy West Milton make decisions on city offices. Pressing matters here. Cities and villages begun to close their municipal buildings to the public. Piqua announced on Monday that it was closing all city offices. For more information, you can always visit their city websites, respectively, piquaohio.org. In Troy, city staff are following the recommendations of the Miami County Public Health and the Ohio Department of Health, as per pretty much everyone around here. However, that does not mean that we are not here for you. We will continue to serve you in any capacity we have the ability to provide. So they're making decisions, and we've seen those unfold throughout the week. A lot of the public offices are closing or limiting their capacity or having people work from home. What else do we have on deck here in the glancing section? Let's see. The Lions honored for their services from the Troy Daily News. 4 Troy Lions Club members were honored for their combined 140 years of community service. A membership chevron is presented to Lions on the anniversary of their joining the organization every 5 years, and there's a picture of that up on their website at Troy Daily News. You can go check it out over there. So the Lions, 4 of them, were honored for their services. We've got a COVID-19 update on employee schedule. This is a civic alert here. In order to protect the health of city employees and assist in stopping the spread of the COVID-19 in our community, Troy City Hall and all city facilities remain closed to the public. In addition, on-site staffing will be reduced, with some employees working remotely, holding an on-call status, working alternating schedules, or otherwise maintaining limited physical presence at their facilities. All police and first responders will maintain their current schedules. If you have any questions for that, you can call 937-335-1725. Check out the troyohio.gov website if you need a refresher on that number. They'll have the information over there under their civic alerts. Prosecutor's office protocol, they're adjusting to the COVID-19. Let's see here with the precautions relating to COVID-19, once again coming from the Troy Daily News. State mandates the Miami County Prosecutor's Office is taking the business of criminal justice one day at a time. They said they've canceled grand jury session due to many jurors calling into the prosecutor's office with concerns. Kendall said he plans on continuing to hold grand jury sessions, which are closed to the public, in large courtrooms in the Miami County Municipal Court to spread jurors out for social distancing. In the future, however, and depending on what plan of action the Common Pleas Courts comes out with, I plan on cutting the cases down to only those that are absolutely necessary, Kendall said Thursday. Moreover, grand jury will be held in one of the big courtrooms so I can spread all of the jurors out to maintain social distancing. Pretty much par for the course there. Speaking of which, and I do pride myself on that segue, letter to Ohio governor from Ohio's golf industry. This is something I follow very closely. They sent out a letter to Governor Mike DeWine, and this includes and was shared by Miami Shores here, one of the golf courses of choice. I got to tell you what, Miami Shores has put a lot of work into their course. Last year, golfing on that was an absolute pleasant experience for a public golf course like that. Okay, it's not a country club. It's not the high-end golf course or a PGA course. But for a public course, I want to say it's one man that pretty much maintains and runs the layout of the course, or the landscaping of the course. Did an excellent job. Phenomenal last year. And that's a place that floods and has a couple issues over there. And they handled it very well last year. It was a pleasure to go out there and golf, especially last year was the opening of the new facility that they put money into there. Absolutely great that they've got a golf range. I've been saying that for years. I've been golfing since I was 14, as any good talk show host would do. I've been golfing since I was 14, and I've always thought to myself, why is that space next to the water treatment facility there off of 55, across from what was the old UDF, which was once the 55 Express, which is now the Shell station? I've always wondered, why is they put a golf range right there? Got plenty of space for it, and lo and behold, last year, they did it. And they did an excellent job with it. I've used it many times. They got great memberships over there. I look forward to getting that back open, and this is why this is important to me and any avid golfer here in the area. So they sent this letter off. It says, Ohio's $2 billion golf industry is comprised of more than 700 golf courses, mostly small businesses, and employs approximately 68,000 people. Employees, that many. We're writing on their behalf today to ask you to follow the lead of Governor Whitmer of Michigan and Governor Inslee of Washington and continue to follow outdoor golf facilities or allow them to operate. I've got this big boom in my way. This is one of the most poorly designed booms. This mount for the microphone, if you're watching on the live feed, it's called a 309A shock mount. This is one of my favorite microphones, and this boom has held up for many, many years now, and it barely squeaks. But this shock mount gets in the way. I've mispronounced so many words because of this thing, but it does the best job for this microphone, and I can't give it up. Now, golf is a unique recreational activity because it takes place on an open green space of often more than 100 acres, making social distancing easily attainable. So here's a few things that they're doing in this letter. If you want to read the full letter, we'll have it in the show notes. They're removing touch points such as bunker rakes, ball washers, water coolers, refitting cups and flag sticks so they don't need to be touched, encouraging walking or only allowing one person per cart, limiting the amount of carts that can be taken out for the day, sanitizing golf carts after each use. I believe even Miami Shores is only allowing one person to make a transaction in their little pro shop there. They will lock the doors as people come up. They will open them, allow one person to make their purchase of a round of golf or an item in the pro shop, and then be on their way to practice social distancing. So that's what Miami Shores and your local public golf course is doing to combat this. And so far, I believe you can still go out and golf, if I'm not mistaken. I'm really hoping. We got a Parks Department update. Speaking of the outdoors, in accordance with the Ohio Department of Health's stay-at-home order, this is not a shelter-in-place order, it's a stay-at-home order, and at the request of the park board, playgrounds and all park restroom facilities will be closed at the city's parks. In addition, we are asking that park patrons take all trash with them when exiting the parks in an effort to reduce the number of maintenance staff needed. All tennis, basketball, and pickleball courts. I've been seeing this pickleball thing a lot. Is that making a comeback? I don't know. As well as all outdoor athletic fields and amenities will remain open, provided social distancing is maintained. So as of now, you're not able to throw your trash into any solar-powered $80,000 trash cans. And it's a bummer, but please take your trash with you. I don't think they have those over at the park. I know they're downtown here. I believe our trash cans are running down here still. I haven't thrown anything in them. We'll find out tomorrow, maybe at 11:59 p.m. tonight. I will go down there and try and throw an item in a trash can and see if we can still throw trash down there. But if you can't, take it with you. Don't put it on the ground. Let's see. So that's what's going on with the park department. You can still go there. You can still go to the parks. Just don't use the playground equipment. Those are closed. And final article on the glance here. I noticed this the other day. This is kind of a big deal. Your CBD store has opened in Troy. And they are located across from Walmart over across 41 there, over by the Frisch's Big Boy in that plaza. So a CBD store has come to Troy. It's been a big popular thing. Of course, CBD is the non-active psychedelic ingredient of THC or marijuana. CBD is the other part of that. It only contains in high doses, I believe, 0.3% THC, which, I mean, that's the equivalent of trying to drink yourself drunk with O'Doul's. It's just not going to happen. So they are officially in the city. That's a good stride. I think it's a good stride for the city. There's a lot of money there. There's a lot of people actively looking for it. It is a domino effect across our country, and I'm glad to see that the local cities and governments are starting to release their stance on these things. I understand that their stance is the federal government. It's still legal or illegal. Not CBD. I'm not talking about CBD here. I'm just talking about marijuana across the board and kind of people's stance on that. But local governments have been kind of denying that in states where it hasn't been passed legally yet. And even if it was passed legally, I believe some people are still opposed to it because it's not federally. They don't want to get involved with federal regulations and issues that might arise there. So That's something to look at. Your CBD store. It is one of the largest in the area, largest chains of CBD stores across the country, I believe. And I think they're looking to open up 10 more by mid-2020. It's the second location in the Dayton area, both of which are owned by Rob McClure of Tip City. McClure said he plans to open 4 more stores by the end of this year and 10 by mid-2021. So big goals from Rob McClure there. Best of luck to him. That's open down there off West Main Street at 41. Well, I think I've covered everything that I can for this week. It was a huge breakdown of news, but we got through it. Thanks for bearing with us here for any technicalities that we might have had for our first live show. Thanks to everyone who's called in, emailed us, got in contact, commented, watched, stayed with us tonight. Coming next Monday, you'll still be on shutdown, lockdown, sheltered away in your homes. But I do believe on the list, Essential Activities is listening to this show. I think you can do that. So we'll be back next Monday at 7 p.m. on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Beautiful Troy Show. Thanks so much for letting me into your home for a little bit tonight, live here on Facebook. We're still working on getting some audio formats out so you can listen in the background. Once again, our email is beautifultroyshow@gmail.com. Our call-in line, save this. It could change again once we get through this. We're trying to get locked down a number that we really want here that's easy to say on the air. This one's pretty good, but I had another one picked out, and I couldn't use it because we couldn't reach the company in time to get it done. So the number might change, but if you want to write it down, 937-696-7572. And facebook.com/groups/Troy, Ohio Citizens. A big thank you to everyone who has joined in about the last week and a half or so, maybe 2 weeks now. We are over 300 citizens strong over there, and none of this is possible without the citizens of this city. We are just trying to provide a platform here, a network for people to express their views however they please, because everyone here has a unique circumstance in Troy, and they all live here for a unique reason, and different policies affect people differently. So we want to hear from you. We always have the call-in line open during our live show. You get 1 minute uninterrupted. I'm not going to step in the way of that. I'm not going to be that annoying host that cuts people off and then yells at them and tries to prove a point or uses people for agendas. We do screen the calls to the best of our abilities. Some stuff might slip through. We don't have a delay here. I don't want one. We just want it live and open to the public there on that. But we do try and screen our calls, and that went pretty well tonight for a call screener in training. So, yeah, that works. Thanks so much for sticking with us here this week. We'll see you back here next week, Monday at 7 p.m. for the Troy Shore, Miami Shores. That's what happens when you don't take your water to start the show. Important to stay hydrated. I don't think I could have made the perfect water drop sound if I tried again. I don't know if that picked up on the mic, but that was pretty impressive. Monday at 7 p.m. We'll be back here next week. Thanks so much for joining us. And a copy of the live show will be up. Hopefully we'll have the website up back by then. So until then, everyone stay safe. And remember, you can still go outside for essential stuff. And until then, this is Troy on air.